But first, we are just 28 days until an inflection point for our country. That is called Election Day. A political storm is brewing across the country as the hurricane is now bearing down on Florida. Kamala Harris, she decided to pick a fight with Governor Ron DeSantis, who's busy trying to save the lives of Floridians and also pre-staging 30,000 utility trucks and trucks with water and food and medicine and supplies. And she's trashing him in public for not taking the time to speak with her on the phone, a call that he never received. Last night on this program, Governor Ron DeSantis responded. Take a look.
For Kamala Harris to try to say that my sole focus on the people of Florida is somehow selfish is delusional. She has no role in this. In fact, she's been vice president for 3.5 years. I've dealt with a number of storms under this administration. She has never contributed anything to any of these efforts. And so what I think is selfish is her trying to blunder into this. No, I've had storms under both President Trump and President Biden, and I've worked well with both of them. She's the first one who's trying to politicize the storm, and she's doing that just because of her campaign.
She never one time, never before, ever called Governor DeSantis before, during, or after any other hurricane. And Kamala's trying to pretend that she cares about hurricanes for the very first time ever. And DeSantis, as per usual, is working around the clock, trying to save lives and property. And meanwhile, Kamala's boss, Joe Biden, he doesn't seem interested in his vice president's dishonest brand of politics. And for the second time this week, Joe Biden has overshadowed Kamala's public appearances with his own counter-programming. And today, at the very moment that Kamala was meeting with that hard-hitting news show, the ladies of The View, while smearing DeSantis again, Biden talked to reporters at the White House, and he praised on the Florida governor. My governor. Take a look.
The governor of Florida has been cooperative. He said he's gotten all that he needs. I talked to him again yesterday, and I said, no, you're doing a great job. It's all being done well. We thank you for it. And I literally gave my personal phone number to call.
And meanwhile, Kamala Harris has literally offered no help to North Carolina, no help to Georgia, South Carolina, Tennessee, Virginia, none. She's been out on the campaign trail, out in Hollywood raising money. And you may have noticed that both Joe and Jill Biden have been largely absent from the campaign trail. Many now speculating that the Harris campaign was trying to put distance between the failed policies of the Biden-Harris administration. But today, that hard-hitting interview that she had on The View, asked if she would do anything differently over the past 4 years, Kamala said, not a thing. She wouldn't change a thing. Take a look.
The influence of a personal experience will have its impact on the presidency?
Well, if anything, would you have done something differently than President Biden during the past 4 years?
There is not a thing that comes to mind in terms of, and I've been a part of most of the decisions that have had impact.
But on day one, she's going to change inflation. On day one, she's going to fix the border. Day one was January 20th, 2021. Not a thing? Really? Not the disastrous Afghanistan withdrawal. She was the last person in the room. 13 American troops dead. Let's see, hundreds of Americans left behind enemy lines. Not the carnage overseas, funded by Iranian mullahs with the billions that she and Joe made available to them. They helped make Iran rich again. What about the record-setting inflation caused by a historic level of new spending from Biden and Harris? What about the border crisis? A record 12-plus unvetted illegals from over 180 countries, many with terror ties, many from countries that are our top geopolitical foes, pouring into the country as her time as border czar. And tonight, our very own Bill Maloogian is reporting that the FBI just arrested an Afghan national allowed in under Harris and Biden, who was plotting an ISIS-inspired terror attack on Election Day. Oh, and we do have Iranian assassination squads in our country trying to kill Donald Trump. On 60 Minutes, and what became a train wreck interview, was supposed to be a layup interview. Kamala Harris was asked not once, not twice, but 3 times if it was a mistake to allow millions of unvetted illegal immigrants into the country. She refuses to answer the question. What a shock. Take a look.
Arrivals quadrupled from the last year of President Trump. Was it a mistake to loosen the immigration policies as much as you did?
It's a long-standing problem, and solutions are at hand. And from day one, literally, we have been offering solutions.
What I was asking was it a mistake to kind of allow that flood to happen in the first place?
I think the policies that we have been proposing are about fixing a problem, not promoting a problem. Okay?
But the numbers did quadruple.
And the numbers
under your
today,
watch.
because of what we have done, we have cut the flow of illegal immigration by half.
But should you
we
have
have
done
cut
that?
the
Should you
flow
have
of
done that?
fentanyl by half, but we need Congress to be able to act.
Was it a mistake? The numbers quadrupled. You're the borders are. No answer. Now, coming up tonight, Texas Governor Greg Abbott, he'll join us. He will respond to Kamala's lies and deflections. Now, of course, that 60-minute interview, that should have been a walk in the park for Kamala Harris. It was designed for her to have a walk in the park. Many of the vice president's worst word salads were actually edited from the interview, shocking from abusively biased CBS. But it was still a disaster for Kamala, and that's only the beginning. As panic over poll numbers start to set in, the Harris campaign, that's the only reason they're sending Kamala on this media blitz with friendly outlets, you know, CBS, Colbert, The View, Call Her Daddy podcast. Let's see. Howard Stern. We can't forget about Howard Stern's interview because she sat down earlier with the former once great shock jock. I don't know. He's a shadow of his former self. What the hell happened to Howard? Will the real Howard ever one day come back? You know, sadly, now himself is an erotic, you know, woke, polo-loving, cat-loving shadow of his former self, holier-than-thou liberal who calls any Trump supporter stupid. He doesn't want them, I guess, to listen to his program anymore. Paralyzed by the fear of COVID-19, asking nothing but pathetic, meaningless questions and discussing Kamala's favorite brand of cereal? Gee, Howard. Will the real Howard, you know, Howard come back to life? Take a look.
Why are you eating for breakfast Raisin Bran, I read? I feel that's not, for someone who's healthy and you have a good figure, why Raisin Bran? There's a lot of sugar.
Well, no, so I don't eat Raisin Bran every morning. But
Okay.
if you asked me what was my favorite cereal, I would put it right up there with, okay, and now this is going to be obnoxious, and Special K.
Special K is,
Well, it's really great. Plus, my mother used to make these Special K cookies in honor of me.
Will the real Howard Stern please return to life? And who cares what cereal that Kamala Harris likes? Is this going to move the political needle, any of these interviews? Not a chance. And by the way, what cereal that Kamala loves costs about 28% more since she became vice president. In fact, most things in America are up over 20%. And while it doesn't seem to matter to the multimillionaires giving softball interviews to Kamala Harris, these price hikes are like a massive hidden tax for most American families, many of which are putting bare necessities on credit cards. But again, as she said on The View, there's not a thing she would have done differently. Which brings us back to her administration's terrible hurricane response, the worst in American history. Did you know that Kamala Harris regularly skipped the hurricane preparedness briefings? Too busy hanging out with her Hollywood friends. And it kind of seems pretty important now, doesn't it? Well, that's only the tip of the iceberg. Pay attention closely. Under Biden and Harris, FEMA, they had a preoccupation. That preoccupation was with woke politics. The information is right there on FEMA.com. They're calling it fake news, but it's in their own words. There are 3 stated goals on FEMA's website. Quote, instill equity as a foundation of emergency management. According to the wordy description, this goal was about prioritizing and tailoring emergency management for certain races and gender identities. The second goal, quote, lead whole of community and climate resilience. Now, of course, this was all about the left and their religious obsession about global warming and climate change. The very last goal is about emergency preparedness. So you can see what the administration is prioritizing. How about this? How about if there's a natural disaster like there's been in North Carolina, South Carolina, Tennessee, Georgia, and Florida? How about you help out every American in need? And how about you not steal the money from FEMA and give it to your unvetted illegal immigrants from 180 countries? Because their illegal immigrants seem to be prioritized and are way more important than the American people, the people that are now currently suffering and not getting the help they need in spite of proclamations to the contrary. You have DHS Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas saying FEMA's running out of money and going bankrupt. This has not been a busy hurricane season. This after the FEMA directed more than $1 billion to pay for housing and food for Harris-Biden illegal immigrants. Because this story looks really bad for Democrats in charge, they are trying to just outright lie to you and pretend this is misinformation. This is a deep fake statement by conservatives. Well, it's also on the FEMA website. It's completely truthful. It's completely real, just like Hunter Biden's laptop was not misinformation, but very real. Democrats, the state-run media mob, they simply lie. They push propaganda before elections. Here we go again. But an April press release from FEMA's own website, let me read it to you. It states the following. Today, the Department of Homeland Security, through FEMA and the U.S. Customs and Border Protection, announced $300 million in grants through the Shelter and Services Program, which was authorized by Congress to support communities that are providing services to migrants. Let me interpret. That means illegal alien, a word that Kamala wants you to be courageous enough to never use, like radical Islamic terrorists. She wants you to be courageous and never use that word either. It goes on. Additionally, DHS is announcing $340.9 million through the Shelter and Services Program and their competitive grant program to be allocated before the end of the fiscal year. The last 2 years, over $1 billion from FEMA to help Harris and Biden illegal immigrants. It is not a deep fake. It's not misinformation. It is the truth. This is the Biden-Harris administration caught red-handed dedicating a massive amount of money that was supposed to be there for emergency relief for Americans in North Carolina, Georgia, and elsewhere to dispense to illegal immigrants, while hurricane-ravaged victims all over the country are left out to dry. Again, it's about their priorities. And under Biden and Harris, the American people also seem to come last. Now, earlier today, Sarah Carter, she was asking North Carolinians about FEMA's lackluster response. Here is what they had to say. Take a look.
A lot of residents have felt, when I speak to them, they say, you know what, it's been 12 days. I feel abandoned. I haven't seen any response. Now some response is coming through. Some FEMA representatives are down on the ground. But it's been 12 days later. Should have been sooner.
It should have been immediate. It should have been immediate. And I'll tell you what, thank God for the people of North Carolina, the residents, the fire chiefs. We have the two best fire chiefs in this area in the world. I mean, the response time from our citizens, our residents, they're supporting us. I mean, that's who's going to rebuild this community.
President Biden basically made a statement saying that people are getting what they need, that they're happy. Are you getting what you need? Are you happy?
Absolutely not.
No.
We're getting what we need, but it's from people in Chimney Rock, like not from the government.
Like the basic necessities from your friends.
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
But the bigger picture, no.
We're
not happy.
No.
The message right now is just help. I mean, there's really not much more I can say. We need help. You know, we're American citizens. We're hardworking. We do our jobs. You know, we volunteer. We're part of the community, part of the team, and we just need support. I mean, I've never really asked for anything in my life, and now I'm asking.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.